go. It's a shame.
You know Motown as the hit factory, 12 number ones, sequined gowns, Ed Sullivan, Diana Ross. But behind every spotlight, there was a shadow. And inside that shadow were singers, real, gifted, ready, who were quietly sidelined, shelved, and sometimes erased so that one group could reign supreme. Berry Gordy had a vision, and that vision had a name. Today, we're counting down 10 rising Motown stars whose careers were sacrificed or quietly sabotaged to protect the unstoppable machine that was the Supremes. These are their real stories, the facts, the receipts. Let's go. Number 10, Number 9, Mary Wells, My Guy, 1964. A 17-year-old girl walked into Berry Gordy's office with a song she had written herself. She didn't even come to audition. She came to sell him the song for Jackie Wilson. But the moment she sang it in that room, Gordy forgot about Jackie Wilson completely. He signed her on the spot. That girl was Mary Wells, and before Diana Ross had a single hit, Mary Wells was the queen of Motown. Her partnership with Smokey Robinson produced two lovers, You Beat Me to the Punch and The One Who Really Loves You. Then in May of 1964, the same year the Supremes finally broke through, Wells hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 with My Guy. She interrupted the Beatles' grip on the charts for 2 straight weeks. Motown called her the girl who beat the Beatles. Then everything fell apart. Wells discovered her contract, signed when she was 17, gave her royalties of just 2.7%. She sued, she won, and Berry Gordy got down on his knees and begged her to stay. He offered her 50% of Motown, 50%. She turned it down, took a $30,000 check, walked out the door, and never had another major hit again. Rumors swirled that Motown quietly blacklisted her with DJs. Whether true or not, she faded fast while the girls who once sang backup behind her collected 12 number ones. Mary Wells died in 1992, broke, of throat cancer. She never got what she was owed. Number 8, Brenda Holloway, Every Little Bit Hurts, 1964. In late 1963, Berry Gordy attended a party in Los Angeles. A young woman lip-synced a Mary Wells song that night. Gordy signed her before the party was over. Her name was Brenda Holloway. She was 17 years old, and she had one of the most powerful voices Motown had ever encountered. Her debut single, Every Little Bit Hurts, hit number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1964, and she joined the same Dick Clark Caravan of Stars tour that launched the Supremes into the stratosphere, except Holloway joined as a headliner. The Supremes were barely holding on to the bottom of the bill. By the end of that tour, Motown had redirected every resource toward the Supremes. Holloway was based in Los Angeles, not Detroit, and that distance cost her everything. She was openly mocked by Gordy and Smokey Robinson for performing too much like Tina Turner. Her second album, already fully recorded, was scrapped by the label. She co-wrote a song called "You've Made Me So Very Happy." Motown recorded it and barely promoted it. 2 years later, Blood, Sweat and Tears released a cover of that same song. It went to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. Holloway was 22 when she walked out of a Detroit recording session and never went back. She sued for unpaid royalties. The label settled. She spent 2 decades in obscurity until the British Northern Soul scene found her records and called her a goddess. Alicia Keys covered "Every Little Bit Hurts" in 2005. Motown had the real thing and let her walk away.
And this is a hit. No, and I was wondering, though, because so many people...
Listen, 90% of you watching right now aren't subscribed yet. If these stories are blowing your mind, imagine what you're missing. Hit subscribe, turn on that bell, and join the 200,000 R&B fans who never miss a Groove Lens upload.
Number 7. Martha and the Vandellas, "Dancing in the Street," 1964. In 1962, Martha Reeves wasn't a singer at Motown. She was a secretary. She answered phones, typed memos, filed contracts. Then one day, a regular studio singer didn't show up for a Marvin Gaye session. Mickey Stevenson called his secretary. She brought 2 friends. They walked in, they sang, and Berry Gordy signed all 3 of them on the spot. Martha and the Vandellas became one of the most vital acts in Motown history. Heatwave, Nowhere to Run, I'm Ready for Love. And in the summer of 1964, they released Dancing in the Street, co-written by Marvin Gaye and Mickey Stevenson, recorded with a producer banging tire chains against a wooden board to create the beat. His hands were bleeding when they finished. The record hit number 2 on the pop chart and became one of the defining anthems of the civil rights era. But here is what Motown never advertised. Also, in 1964, Dozier Holland completed a song for Martha called "Jimmy Mac." It was ready, it was recorded, and Motown's quality control team shelved it. The reason given was that it sounded too much like a Supreme song. They buried a number 1 record to avoid competing with Diana Ross. Jimmy Mac sat in a vault for 3 full years. When Motown finally released it in 1967, it went to number 1 on the R&B charts. But the momentum was gone. HDH left Motown that same year. The Vandellas broke up in 1972. They sued for unpaid royalties in 1980. Gladys Knight and the Pips. I Heard It Through the Grapevine, 1967. In 1966, songwriters Norman Whitfield and Barrett Strong finished a track called "I Heard It Through the Grapevine." They gave it first to Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. Berry Gordy said no. Then Marvin Gaye recorded a haunting, extraordinary version. Gordy said no again. So Whitfield took it to Gladys Knight and the Pips. Gladys Knight had been performing professionally since she was 7 years old. She had won Ted Mack's Amateur Hour as a child. She brought everything she had to that song. Motown released it, barely promoted it, and Gladys had to personally call radio DJs across the country just to get it played. It hit #1 on the R&B chart. It stayed there for 6 weeks. It became the biggest selling single in Motown's entire history up to that point. Then Berry Gordy agreed to release Marvin Gaye's version 1 year later on the same label. Gaye's version hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for 7 weeks and became the biggest selling Motown single of all time. Gladys Knight's version was buried under it. When she later asked Motown for $3,000 in road money she had earned on tour, the label told her the funds weren't there. They tried to use her tax debt as leverage to keep her under contract. She hired a lawyer and said goodbye. Then she went to Buddha Records and recorded Midnight Train to Georgia. It went to #1. She finally got what Motown never gave her. #5, Kim Weston. It Takes Two, 1967. When Mary Wells walked out of Motown in 1964, Berry Gordy needed a new leading lady fast. He already had her. Her name was Kim Weston.
One can wish upon a star.
Gospel-trained, powerfully voiced, and signed to Motown since 1963, she became Marvin Gaye's duet partner after Wells left the label. Together, they had real chemistry. Then in early 1967, they recorded It Takes Two, a smooth, irresistible record that climbed to #4 on the R&B chart and #14 on the Billboard Hot 100. The album was ready. The momentum was real. And at the exact moment, the single was rising. Kim Weston and her husband, producer Mickey Stevenson, walked out of Motown. They felt undervalued, underpromoted, and invisible inside a machine that only had eyes for Diana Ross and the Supremes. Stevenson is not a minor figure. He was one of Motown's most important producers, the man who had helped build the Vandellas and developed some of the label's most essential artists. He left because Berry Gordy kept redirecting every resource toward the Supremes. Without Stevenson, Motown scrambled. Without Kim Weston, Marvin Gaye's next duet partner was Tammi Terrell. That partnership produced extraordinary music, but what Kim Weston could have become with proper support was never allowed to happen. She released records at other labels. Nothing landed the same way. The label simply found someone else to fill the space she left and never looked back. #4, The Spinners. It's a Shame, 1970. In 1961, a vocal group from Detroit signed with Motown. They could really sing, rich harmonies, range, polish. Their name was the Spinners. And for 8 years, Motown held on to them without giving them a real shot. 8 years. Singles were released. Some were decent. Most got quietly buried. Harvey Fuqua produced them. Then Stevie Wonder stepped in and produced It's a Shame for them in 1970. It hit number 14 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 5 on the R&B chart. The Spinners' biggest Motown hit ever. Motown's response was to do almost nothing with it. No major promotional push. No follow-up infrastructure. No magazine campaigns. No featured tour slots. Every major resource at the label, promotion, songwriting, publicity, was funneled toward the Supremes, Diana Ross's solo launch, and the newly arrived Jackson 5. So in 1972, the Spinners left. They signed with Atlantic Records, and then they exploded. I'll Be Around? Could it be I'm Falling in Love? Then Came You, with Dionne Warwick, went to number 1. Between 1972 and 1980, they racked up 8 top 10 R&B hits on Atlantic, 8 major hits after 8 years of near silence at Motown. A former Motown executive later said it was hard to give everyone equal attention when you had a group at number 1 every other month. The Spinners knew exactly what that meant, so they left, and they became legends somewhere else. Number 3, Florence Ballard. It Doesn't Matter How I Say It, 1968. Florence Ballard didn't just lose a record deal, she lost everything. And her story is the darkest one on this entire list. Florence was the one who formed the Supremes, not Diana Ross. Florence gathered the girls. Florence chose the name, picking it from a list while Diana Ross complained it sounded too masculine. Marvin Gaye, who sang alongside her on occasion, described Florence as probably the strongest singer of the 3. Her voice was so powerful that Motown engineers made her stand 17 feet away from her microphone in the studio. And yet by 1967, after 9 consecutive top 10 hits, after the gowns and the Ed Sullivan appearances, Berry Gordy fired her. The public reason was that she showed up to a Las Vegas performance having had too much to drink. What was never said publicly was that she had been sidelined, fat-shamed, and pushed to the margins of a group she literally created, while Gordy focused everything on Diana Ross. Motown paid her $139,000 on the condition she never publicly mentioned she had been a Supreme. She signed with ABC Records, 2 singles, no chart success. Her solo album was shelved. She sued Motown for $8.7 million in 1971. The judge ruled against her. She lost her home to foreclosure. She went on welfare. She moved in with her sister. Florence Ballard died of a heart attack in February 1976. She was 32 years old. The woman who named the Supremes died on welfare while the group she built was still selling records under a name she chose. Number 2, Tammi Terrell, Ain't No Mountain High Enough, 1967. Tammi Terrell was already a star before Motown got to her. She had recorded for James Brown's Try Me label in 1963. She had toured with the James Brown Revue. She had studied pre-med at the University of Pennsylvania. She was talented, driven, and completely ready. She signed with Motown in 1965. But the label didn't know what to do with her as a solo artist. Her singles barely moved. So in 1967, Motown paired her with Marvin Gaye. The results were electric. Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Your Precious Love, Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing, You're All I Need to Get By. 6 top 20 pop hits in a single year. Then in October 1967, during a live performance in Virginia, Tammi Terrell collapsed on stage. Marvin Gaye caught her in his arms. She had a brain tumor. She underwent 8 surgeries over the next 3 years. During her illness, Motown kept releasing Terrell Gaye duets. But Tammi could no longer record. The label used session singer Valerie Simpson to record Tammy's vocal parts and did not tell the public. Tammi Terrell died on March 16, 1970. She was 24 years old. Motown had denied her a real solo career because a powerful solo female artist might compete with Diana Ross. Instead, she was used as a duet vehicle. Her illness quietly covered up to protect the product. Some things you read between the lines. Some things you don't have to. Number 1, Holland, Dozier, Holland, the men who built it all. Every Supremes hit has 3 names behind it: Brian Holland, Lamont Dozier, Eddie Holland. These 3 men wrote the entire architecture of Motown's golden decade. Where did our love go? Baby love, stop in the name of love. I can't help myself for the 4 tops. Reach out, I'll be there. Heat Wave for Martha and the Vandellas. From 1963 to 1967, they wrote and produced 12 #1 singles, not in their careers, in 4 years. When they sat down with Berry Gordy in 1967 and asked to share in the profits they had generated, profits that turned a small Detroit label into a global institution, Gordy said no, so they left. Holland, Dozier, Holland walked out of Motown in early 1968, and the damage was immediate. Without them, the Supremes went from releasing #1s to struggling to crack the top 20. The 4 tops slowed. Martha and the Vandellas had no powerhouse writers feeding them. 6 acts at minimum saw their careers undermined the moment those 3 men walked out the door. HDH sued Motown. Motown countersued. The legal battle lasted years. When HDH finally started their own labels, Invictus and Hot Wax Records, they produced Frida Payne's Band of Gold almost immediately. It hit number 3 in 1970. The moment they were free, they made another massive hit. The Supremes were Berry Gordy's crown jewel. Everyone else paid the price. The songwriters who made it all possible received no profit sharing for 12 number ones. They deserved better. So did every artist on this list. If you made it this far, you already know Motown was magnificent. But magnificence has a cost, and that cost was paid by people you've heard of and by people you should have. Go listen to the Marvelettes. Go find Brenda Holloway, sit with Florence Ballard's story, and let it stay with you. Like this video if you learned something. Subscribe for more music history, the kind they don't always teach you. Drop a comment below. Which of these artists deserved better from Motown? Thanks for watching.